second sight, prevision, clairvoyance, let's ask ourselves, is the ability to see beyond the physical world relevant in modern society? What are our beliefs around the idea of seeing beyond our physical experience? And how would someone develop these abilities? Imagine living in a multidimensional world where every experience is verifiable and true. If we can receive information, validate it within our belief system, then resistance and old ideas of limitation and barriers vanish. Before we can flex our psychic muscles, we must acknowledge that anything and everything is possible. It is within this realm of infinite possibilities that all spiritual and psychic phenomenon abilities occur. The story we are presenting is about the prophecy of Jacques Cazot. Our story comes to us from Jean-François de la Harpe, who was attending the banquet the night that Cazot had made his predictions. However, he wouldn't go on to write the story until a few years before his death. This was right around the time of the reign of King Louis XVI, right before the French Revolution, where the words of Voltaire were in the hearts of many. Voltaire was an important French enlightened philosopher of the time who knew that changes were coming and that man's logic wouldn't permit the unchecked power of church and state. And I quote, "When once a nation begins to think, it is impossible to stop it." Jacques Cazot was an impressive writer himself. In one of his books, Le Diable Amour, or The Devil in Love, he describes in detail various occult knowledge, such as summoning a demon, Beelzebub, who he commanded with elegant ease, a seductive sylph materializing into a relentless seduction of the main character. Only someone with an untrained vision would know of these parts of our existence. He also proclaimed that he could prophesize future events, and he knew it had been practiced more regularly in ancient times of prophets and oracles. The year is 1788. It's a cold January night, and we're at the home of Charles Hust de Beauval, a French nobleman, honorable man, who is known for entertaining the high class of society, which is no different this night. Among them, a Nicolas Chamfort, a French writer, and the Marquis de Condorcet, Nicolas Condorcet, also a French writer, philosopher, thinker in the Age of Enlightenment. François de la Harpe was there, the one who wrote about this prophecy, and of course Jacques Cazot. The feast was warm and extravagant, a well-lit room full of pompous landowners and wealthy aristocrats, what one would expect from a noble and honorable gathering of the ruling class. Conversation swayed from one topic to the next until finally someone mentions Voltaire's name. The whole room goes silent, drawn in by the power of Voltaire's words. They all agree that his ideas were leading the way for a brighter future, and that men would someday, even the little people, they didn't know how soon, would revolt on the old traditions of church and state. But if they played their cards right, then they could possibly benefit from such a transaction. Fire takes hold of the room, and the imaginations and insights, previsions flying all around, everyone picking up new messages of the new world. The room goes into hysteria as they plan to keep their power and control over the little people. This illuminating discussion is abruptly interrupted by none other than Jacques Cazot. He reassures them that the revolution would occur, and that it was going to happen sooner than they thought. And tragically, that very few of them would live to see the end. Some of the guests laugh, thinking it a joke. But he goes on, saying that he has seen in vision the untimely deaths of many of the guests at the party. Monsieur Chamfort asked him how they were going to die, or what he had seen in his vision. Kazut tells him he would specifically attempt suicide on his own life, but fail in finishing the job, only to prolong his death for a few months later. He continues around the room, predicting the deaths of many people, saying that Monsieur Condorcet would poison himself while being incarcerated, and that many of them would be led to the guillotine, even the highest women closest to the royal family. People are starting to freak out. He goes on to predict even his own death, and all would gruesomely take place within 6 years. The night ends and they go home with the words of Cazot churning in their minds. Not long after, and the revolution began. Many people were arrested, hung, or killed on the spot, simply for associating with the royal family. Within 6 years, Monsieur Condorcet took his life with poison. Nicolas Chamfort attempted suicide by shooting himself. Many others were sent to the guillotine as he had predicted. Now let's take some time and ask ourselves a few questions. How did the words of Voltaire play as fuel for the fire of change and creativity in the mental world in the French Revolution? Did Cazot plant his ideas in the minds of those people at the banquet? Or were they real fixed events that could not be avoided? How could anyone consciously know of their death yet be unable to avoid it? And how could prevision be related to the social collective conscious? At the start, we recommend an open, passive, lucid meditative state when asking ourselves questions. Wait for the responses. Then after they fade, take notes of what we see. Then we can use these notes to distinguish what is what in terms of receiving messages. Okay, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed. Please like and follow, and stay tuned for the next video. Good luck.